Welcome back, knitters. This is Jana with Purl Together. Today we're going to finish up the Cold Pale Moon shawl knit along. I'm going to show you how to do the bind off and why I increased as many stitches as I did to make my shawl proportionately larger. I'll explain that, and then I'll show you how I weave in the ends to do a duplicate stitch either before or after blocking. All right, before we get started, I want to give a big hearty thank you to Barbara M. for becoming my newest patron. Thanks so much for supporting the channel. If you want to learn how to become a patron, head on over to www.patreon.com/Purl Together. All right, let's get started. All right, we're through the chart and it looks great. So now all you need to do is break off the main color and carry on just knitting back and forth like we did in the beginning, going through those 8-row repeats for the contrasting color section at the bottom. All right, I'm going to go ahead and continue and do that, and then I'll be back to show you how I'm going to do the I-cord bind off and finish up. All right, I finished with repeating rows 1 through 8 as many times as I need to, and so I'm done with the contrasting color. I chose to complete increasing up to 180 stitches. And the reason I did that was because the pattern calls for an increase up to 152, but I increased the number of stitches using the chart by 28. So I just added 28 to 152, and that's how I ended up with 180 across. So now I'm going to work, slide everything back to the left-hand side or the wrong side. And with the wrong side facing me, I'm going to add back in the main color or my lighter color and do 1 purl row across. Now the reason for this is we're going to add this back in and it will look like knit stitches on the right side. And you're asking, well, why couldn't we just add it on the right side and knit across? Well, you could, I suppose, but we only want 1 row, not 2, before we begin the I-cord bind off. So I'm just going to lay my yarn on there and hold it down with my thumb and begin purling, and I'll weave that in to the I-cord bind off after I complete that. So I'm just going to purl my way across for 1 row, and then I'll show you how I'm going to do the bind off. Okay, I finished purling my way across with the main color. So now I need to cast on 3 more stitches. For this, I prefer to use the cable cast on. You can, however, just take your finger and turn the yarn over and slide that on and just do a half hitch basically, and you can cast on 3 like that. I don't particularly think that that's a very strong edge. I don't necessarily like how it looks, so I'll show you the cable cast on that I'd like to do, but you do what works best for you. So for that, you just go in between the stitches. You don't go into this loop as if to knit. You go between the 2 stitches and then wrap as if you're knitting and pull that through and put it right back on the left needle. Then do the same thing, go in between the stitches, wrap it counterclockwise and pull it through as if you're making a knit stitch and put that right back on the left needle. So that's all there is to it. Now I have 3. And so then, as the instructions indicate for the I-cord bind off, I'm just going to knit 2 and then knit 2 together through the back loop. And that's how you're going to attach it, your I-cord bind off to the shawl, is by knitting together through the back loop. After you've done that, slip those back onto the left-hand side and simply do it again. So knit 2 and knit 2 together through the back loop. Okay. Whoops, there we go. And you're just going to do that all the way across. Slide those back to the left-hand needle. Knit 2 together through the back loop. Now I'll do a few and then I'll show you what that's going to look like. It makes a nice clean finish. All right, I think that looks great. I'm definitely a fan of the I-cord bind off. So carry on like that all the way across to the other side. I've completed the I-cord all the way across. Now I'm going to finish up by just knitting 3 stitches together, and then I'll break the yarn and weave in that last end, along with weaving in the join here. So what I usually do in this case is just break this off 5 or 6 inches, pull it through, and then I'll weave in both of these ends down inside the I-cord like that. Then I'm going to show you real quick how I am going to duplicate stitch where I've done a color join. All right, you can do this before or after blocking. Some people prefer to do it after blocking in case there's any shifting. You don't want your stitches to pull out. That's definitely a good option. I'm just going to go ahead and show you this though. So here I have this strand that I've woven in and out using the tail weaving method that I showed you earlier. But I would like to take this tail and just do a couple of duplicate stitches just to secure things. Now you can also not use the tail weaving and just do the duplicate stitch if you feel like that's a better option for you. Okay, what I want to do is take this tail and I want to duplicate over some stitches that are already there. Okay, I can see where this strand comes through, so I don't want to pull that out, but I want to put this through at the base of this other stitch. And then I'm going to go look on the other side. And I'm literally going to duplicate this other stitch, meaning I'm going to go right over it. So what I want to do is go behind these two legs and I want to trace right along where that other stitch is. And then we're going to go down right there. So see there, I'm literally just going in and out and around and down exactly where that other stitch was. Then I think what I'd like to do is come back and do the same thing over these three, just to secure that. So I'm going to go in here, up and around, and down. You can do this from the back side also, and you can follow along using the tops and bottoms of the stitches. So now I'm going to trace along right here and go up, through, and around the top. And you can follow right along with where those go. Okay, and you can also just go check on the other side and make sure that's coming out correctly. And then I'm just following along, going down and around here. This side up at the top is a little thicker because that's where I wove in the tail earlier. Okay, so then check the other side and make sure that you don't have anything weird, nothing looks strange on the other side. And there you go. I just do that several times and then that should be really secure and you can just trim that off. I hope you've enjoyed this knit along. That is it. This was a pretty quick knit, so I really enjoyed it. If you haven't already noticed, Helen Kennedy, the designer of this shawl, has some matching other patterns that go with this with the same mosaic design. So be sure to check those out. I'll leave a link down below in the video description. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing, and thanks for watching.